That's what I do. I'm going to introduce you guys to everyone here.
If you give
Rich,
them that mic,
you can start off, buddy.
Hello everyone. You alright? My name's Rich. I'm an executive creative director. I started off as a stylist about 25 years ago and went on to be a fashion editor of lots of different magazines and newspapers, and then editor of magazines, and I've had my own agency for 15 years, fashion PR company, and we work with lots of different brands: Champion, Fila, Hennessy, Fred Perry, lots and lots of brands, Aquascutum, hundreds of brands over the years. Still pushing myself, and yeah, that's me really, I think.
Yeah.
Ish.
So I'm TARJA. I have two agencies, one co-founded with Rich around, in fact I think we're on about 16 to 17 years now. So that one's called Rich London. As Rich said, it's a kind of mix up. I think the industries mix things up over the years anyway, blurred a lot of lines. So we do everything from creative direction and produce campaigns from sort of concept to right through to delivery and everything that's involved there. We also do the PR work for different brands, so we're their kind of UK representative, I guess, in that way. We also put on activations and events, really all around youth culture, particularly. That's our kind of niche there. And around where are we now? 2000, so COVID was 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, so around that sort of time, obviously as part of the agency here, I've been working with models forever, whether it was casting or looking at them, deciding who was going to be in the campaign, etc. So always had my eye out, and I think instinctively been able to scout models. So for a long time, because of having the other agency, I didn't think I would have capacity to start anything else. So I began by a bit of a side hustle, really, finding people and then placing them at big giant agencies, the IMGs, the Models One, Select Storm, etc. But then I a few of our models got some really major campaigns, and I think it started to play on my mind a little bit that I could probably do this myself and create another agency. So for about 6 months I kind of battled in my own head of, I have not got enough time, but I really should do this. So yeah, eventually COVID, I think everyone was in a different sort of mind space then. And I decided to save up the money from placing models at other agencies for 6 months and then get my own booker and see what happened. And it was a bit of an experiment to begin with. And needless to say, we've never looked back. It's been an amazing journey, 3-4 years, and we've done a lot of things in that time, which I'm sure we'll tell you a little bit more about later.
I think maybe you can use this.
That's a good idea.
very nice.
Hello, my name is Lucas. I'm mainly a photographer these days. I've done a lot of stuff. I used to do video quite a lot, some cinematography. I've done some features and some short films and all that sort of stuff, but mainly do photography and painting now. I sort of based my whole personality off of Casey Neistat and Austin Powers. And that's pretty much me. I got my start off of something I saw on Facebook that looked like a scam, and it turned out it wasn't a scam, and this guy flew me out to the Caribbean to basically do his social media for him. Like, before it was like a thing to have social media people, and I followed him around for months, and I had a pretty banging portfolio. I came back to London and lied to a load of people who let me have a load of jobs I shouldn't have had, and I fucked them up, and here I am.
That's how it always
starts.
starts.
Inspirational on that one. We're going to start off with the proudest moment of your career so far. Quick fire, alright? So, Rich, can you start off?
I was thinking about this, and it comes in waves. So when I was a stylist, there's jobs that would mean nothing to you guys. I was dressing at the time my favourite artist, Mike Skinner, on the streets, and at the time that was a big deal for me because it's what I listened to and it's who I loved. So we became friends. That was the thing. But then I started an agency, and we win a big client. Recently we won a contract with New Era, so we've got lots of big campaigns and stuff. So for myself and my team, winning that was, I think it's really important as a creative. You have to kind of like, yeah, I'm proud of that, but then put your level up again so that you need something else that you're going to be even more proud of. So there's been lots of different stages, but recently my agency all clubbing together and going up against other big London agencies and winning a permanent contract with New Era is a real big deal for us. So it's a big global client. So yeah, that's feeling chuffed with myself on that.
So I think my proudest moment was my first scout that kind of went international. So it was a guy called Tristan, you might be able to see on our social if you're following us. Basically scouted him walking in the lanes in Brighton. I actually walked past him because it was at the very end of the day and I kind of had enough at that point. Walked past him and thought, nah, like that's the one that's going to get away. So ran back after him, had a chat. Never done modelling before. I think he was just so serving around like his friends and doing, I can't remember, I think he was in uni. Whatever, I kind of nurtured that relationship because he wasn't in the right place at the right time to take off. However, once he did, he joined the agency within 2 weeks. He had a 1-year exclusive deal with Dior and opened a show in Paris.
Amazing.
My proudest moment is honestly a bit of a less about work, but just the first day I managed to pay my rent on time, like working the job I do without any kind of support or having to do jobs I didn't want to do that month, or just like nothing that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I managed to pay my rent with just the work I want to do, and that was probably the happiest feeling I've had for work-related stuff.
Amazing, amazing. Can I have a show of hands here? Who has a creative passion? God, I hope so. That's good. That's good. Who wants to be a model? Quickly. Who wants to be a stylist? Who wants to be a designer or is a designer already? Amazing. So we're full of a room with people that are doing creative things and they have this interest in creativity. So our next segment is talking about how we can turn that interest into an income. And so we'll start off with Rich and how you turned your interest into your income.
So, as a kid, I mean, growing up, I was always in our group of friends, I was always the person that used to try and dress the loudest or whatever. I was always into fashion. Eventually, I grew up in Southampton, and I kind of felt like I'd just completed Southampton. I had to get away. Ended up going travelling around the world on my own because none of my mates wanted to come. And I was in. This is the right question, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, okay, cool. So I was in Koh Samui, and I was chatting to this German girl, and I asked her what she did. She said she was a fashion editor, and I was like, wait. And I literally just said, sit down, tell me how the hell you became that. And she said, you need work experience. So she said, find a magazine or a media outlet that you love, and then phone them up. Say that you'll make tea, do whatever, clean drawers, whatever, and just do that until you get something. And then that's what I did when I was in Australia. I did that on someone's phone that I borrowed, and that's how I started on the career, if you like. I was just kind of on a fashion desk in a magazine, just as an intern, and I kind of saw how it could be a business, how it could make money, how I could make it a career. I saw lots of freelance people coming in and out of the office, and it kind of clicked, and I thought, if I surround myself with these people and I continue being passionate about, I'm myself and they like me as me being myself, then I can make a go of it. And hopefully I could see my fashion editor, my boss, lots of other people in the office, they had like cars and flats and they did cool stuff, and I was just skin. I was a bum, like a traveller, you know, living in a hostel in bunk beds. So yeah, that was my first sort of introduction to, right, this I can make a go of this. I'm in the right place. I've just got to kind of keep surrounding myself by people like that, and hopefully one day I'll be able to afford, you know, a life and do what I want to do. So that's kind of my introduction to it.
I'm curious, is there anyone who wants to be a fashion editor in the audience right now? Is there anyone that has that interest? Amazing. Rich, for someone who's starting out to be a fashion editor right now, because I think maybe cold calling a big magazine, they might have too many calls nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would your opinion to break in?
I think even though I'm older, like I'm nearly 50, and back then there was no social media, it's still the same mentality. You are your portfolio. If you've got no contacts, no experience, you are a walking portfolio. How you dress, how you carry yourself, most importantly, your social media is your shop window. So if you've got nothing and you're starting off, you want to get in contact with a media platform or a magazine, first thing you're going to look at is your social media to see whether, you know, everyone will say that they've got a passion for fashion or something, you know, lame. You'll go straight to social media. Let's see if you really, you know, you're living it. So you've got to kind of show your personality, show that your style, your charisma, be yourself, and they'll take, you know, you kind of got to knock on doors still, you know. Work experience is the key because you're going to surround yourself with stylists, help people out, just be a nice person, and try and be in the vicinity of follow fashion editors, follow stylists, follow fashion assistants, because they'll be the next fashion editors, and just like their posts and try and engage with them as much as you can.
So I guess I had a slightly different take on the question. I just made a few notes about it. I'd say the first thing is accepting that you're not going to make money for a little while, or not good money anyway, and you have to be prepared to invest your time and your resources, and if it's what you really, really want to do, it needs to become your priority. So I think that, you know, like any other job, you know, if you're going to learning to be a doctor or whatever else, you understand from the off that you need to invest your time into learning your craft and meeting the right people and stuff like that. I think if you go in with that kind of thought, first of all, that you have to put in the work and the rewards will come later, and keep your eye on the prize, keep focused on the mission ahead and the goal, and just be prepared to work around it. There's so many people. I mean, modelling is an absolute given that models need to do this, but I think also in the creative industry in general, take on work around it so that you can earn money with part-time jobs, weekend jobs, whatever it is, so that you can keep doing and learning and growing and honing your skill in the creative industry. So I think that's one that I would sort of put there. And I think also keeping goals. I think it's quite easy to, in the creative industry as well, to, because we're driven by motivation and passion and whatever else, and no one's going to have that 24/7. So it's about keeping a little bit of momentum, put things in place, quarterly goals, other things where you can reflect and see how far you have come to keep you pushing to get to the next stage. And also just, I think realise we're all human and not everyone's going to be on it 24/7. Make hay while the sun shines. I've got ADHD, so I've also learned to do this, particularly as part of working with my own brain and the way that I'm wired. I'll have intense periods of time for weeks where I'm super, super hyper-focused on things, and I think that I can genuinely get 10 times the stuff done in in a day that maybe someone else, but then I also know there'll be other days where I'm not as creatively motivated. So then at that time, I will then utilise that time to do things like your admin or, you know, the boring stuff that still needs to be done. You still got to keep in order. And keeps you feeling productive, like you are still doing things. But yeah, that's probably what I would say, like, make hay while the sun shines.
Great, great. Just on that, I would say I had a job in a vintage shop while I was doing my studying and while I was doing all these other jobs, and that allowed me to then connect with people that were interested in fashion. And the people that came into that vintage shop ended up being likes of Kofi Stone and music artists like that, who now I have the phone number of and I'm going to be styling in a few weeks. Like, working alongside doing a part-time job, whether you can't, if you want to be a photographer and you can't get a job in the set, but at least base it around something that is to do with what you're interested in. Because then you're meeting like-minded people, and understand that it's your job then to speak to everyone that comes in the shop. You know, you have to then go up to everyone that comes inside and say, hey, how are you doing? How's your day been? And you have to make conversation because it's your job to, because you're in the shop selling a product. But then that can lead to, oh, you're a stylist and you do this. Oh, interesting, I'm trying to do that. Let me get your Instagram. Or I'm a music artist and you do this. Oh, amazing, I'm trying to find work in that. So finding a part-time job that reflects what you want to do as well and somehow links just means that you're always thinking about it. Everything to do with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is all together and connected in that way. So following on from that as well.
Yeah, totally agree.
Lucas?
Yeah, it's nice with a part-time job as well, like to separate, especially when you're starting to separate the work from what might be your creative work, because it's easy to take stuff very personally at the start. And at the start, I mean, all my stuff was really shit at the start, and I used to get really upset when people told me it was shit. But it was all I was doing. I just felt like I was up against it all the time. Nothing was ever good enough. And then, as soon as I started like having other outlets to make money, this was something. There was a director I looked up to a few years ago, who I met one of their friends, and they were like, "Yeah, they're really being held back at the minute by saying yes to everything." And I was like, "How is that?" But they're busy. They're doing all this stuff, and it's really cool, and I really like it. Like, how is that a bad thing? But I understand now that if you're saying yes all the time. I meet so many creatives who you might think are doing sick stuff, but they don't want to be doing the stuff that you see them doing. They want to be doing something else, and they're trapped in this whirlwind of say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. But if you have that opportunity to get away and make that money and just say no, and then go away and make that short film or that editorial or that thing that's your idea, it's always that thing that's your idea that then most clients aren't very creative. So they come to you with something that's already done, references of, can we do this thing, but with a bit of this thing? Whereas if you've probably got a lot of original ideas and cool stuff that you want to get done, and you need to actually go and make that to explain to the client how it's going to exist in the world. What was the question?
Turning your interest into an income.
Yeah, so I've always done photography. I've always had a camera on me. That was always my special interest. And then I was told not to get into photography because there's no money in it. And I would talk to a lot of people who they were doing photography in the 80s and stuff. And it's you're not making 100 grand a day anymore. You don't have a personal DJ in the studio. You're not doing cocaine whilst everyone's getting their hair and makeup done. That doesn't exist anymore. But there is still a lot of money in photography, which I only really found out by accident because I set up my own studio space to rent out, to make money and pay my rent, so I kind of lived there. And that was the setup. And then because I had that studio, I started messing around and doing my own fun photos, just fun stuff. This is what a great time. This is good. And then all of a sudden, all my video clients that wouldn't listen to any of my creative ideas were just oh, we like all this stuff you're doing. This is really cool. Can you do this for us? It's oh yeah. So it sort of came about accidentally by just doing what I wanted to do, and then the non-creative people just sort of take note, and they're oh, that's cool. But yeah.
Amazing. So one way we can support turning our interest into income, alongside what these guys have just said, is gaining that industry experience, right? That first step into the working world. What was the most influential work experience you guys have got over the years? Rich?
I think I answered that already, but when I got that work experience in Australia, it was just the penny completely dropped. Anything that I'd ever thought could happen, I suddenly just was surrounded by designers on that table, writers on that table, editors on that table, and I had a little fashion section where I was on, and I was like, wow, this is it. I've made it to the inner circles. So that was really really influential, and meeting that person in Koh Samui. You know, I think, like Felix said, you just have to chat to people, because you never know who that person or what that person might have to offer you. It could be your next link to your next stage. So, like, I always say to people that do internships at our agency, that anyone that comes through the door could be your next link. Like, you have, like, everyone here has already got, like, you guys have got a sort of tenuous link with us now, so there's no reason why any of you guys couldn't DM Lucas and say, hey, sort of thing, I really like it, I love your hat, where's it from? Just kind of like get in his bubble a little bit with a compliment or something, and just say, oh yeah, I was really interested in
We're not just asking for compliments though.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just you're here, we're here, and you just have to, if you see someone, you walk down the street, creative people really respect other creative people. Like, I see loads of really well-dressed people here, like that guy's got this two-piece on, looks amazing, and I'd go, where's that from? And then you get the thing going, oh, what do you do? And so you just have to have that mentality of just getting over just thinking about it. Oh, that person looks cool, I reckon he could be a model. Or, all right, that person that looks cool over there, blah, blah, blah. So, and you are able to just get to the next stage just by saying, oh, cool, what do you do?
Do you know, one thing I learned the other day, or found out the other day, was this piece of advice, which was that, okay, it's like the framework of how to meet people in person, because I think it's quite a daunting task going up to someone and saying, hey, I like your outfit, or what do you do? So really making it kind of almost a pitch that you can live off. For instance, mine would be something like finding one thing that I can relate to, or one thing I like in that outfit, saying I like it, and maybe half the time I didn't. But it made that connection, right? And I gave that compliment, and then I asked them what they're working on, because that means that they can tell me about what they do, their job, but it also means they can tell me about their hobbies or something they're interested in, whether they're running a marathon recently. That opens that question up to understand the person before learning about their job, which is maybe less intimidating and less straight to the point in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I think, it's a complete no-brainer. If you want to get into this industry, work experience or access in whichever way, shape or form you can get it, is the most successful way, I would say, of getting involved. And the great news about that is that there's no barrier to entry there. It's just purely down to you, your detective work, your tenacity and persistence in kind of digging out contacts and trying to get the opportunity. I think how my how I got started in work experience many moons ago was not dissimilar to where you guys are, and it is quite ironic really, because it was 20 odd years ago, but community is still so valuable. That is, your network, and if it's not, as Rich said, not your immediate network, the person that you're speaking to knows somebody who knows somebody, or they might say something that then sparks an idea. It's not even, about them, it's about something. Or, you might be thinking about an idea and then kind of gone off track a little bit, going, I don't know if anybody would be interested in that. And suddenly that person said, oh yeah, completely independently, you haven't prompted them. But you might have said, oh, what are you into? And they've said something along the lines of a business that you've been thinking, and suddenly you're like, shit, actually, other people, it's not just me, somebody else is interested in that. And it's just a confidence builder, it's a reassurance. But I would absolutely say, look, and you guys are so lucky as well with social media, you have so much easy access that we may not have had many sort of years ago. And I remember I started in a little room in kind of my house, and I'm sure it was a dial-up connection, that's how long it was on the internet. Show my age. But it was essentially very similar still to what's going on, you know, today. And I think it was a Facebook group as well, but it was essentially, it was called Who is Testing, something like that. And it was in the most rudimentary sort of way that you guys would be doing it now, where there was like some photographers, there was some stylists, some makeup artists, all completely starting out. Not really, a lot of them not in a city, maybe in a small town on the outskirts, or you know, in the depths of the UK, and aren't around all these things. But then suddenly you can curate your own team, you know, and really start to create a portfolio. That's kind of how I started. I actually started as a stylist in the industry, so I would hook up. There would be photographers saying, oh, who wants to do a test shoot or whatever else, and then a makeup artist would chirps in and say, oh yeah, I'll do that, and I'll bring the clothes and whatever else, and suddenly nothing's changed in 20 years. It's still how you get things off the ground, building a portfolio, connecting that network or whatever else. It's growing your confidence at the same time. So that's definitely one way, and you can apply that to your own community groups, and you know, so many more of them now anyway. Secondly, I would say, I remember getting together what was probably a pretty average kind of portfolio at the time, but enough to have something to go with. And this was in the day of where print was still around, and I remember I went to is it EMAP, one of the big, it was a big publishing house, whatever, and I literally turned up there and I just sat like on the sofa in the reception, and eventually someone came out and talked to me, and I said to them, I'll do anything. You don't have to pay me, like, I don't, I just want to be involved, I just want to be around here. And I didn't leave till someone, like, spoke to me, essentially. And then followed it up with an email and whatever else. And I think there's so much power in showing that you're passionate and you're hungry and you just want to learn. Like, I think all people that you might aspire to or want to be like, they've been there, they understand it and they recognise it in you, and that's where the opportunities will come by far, far more than a degree or an expensive portfolio that's been done or whatever else. Fuck that. Like, it is all about you going there, you doing whatever it takes, you being passionate. We've had intern people who, and I still love it now when they'll come into the studio from miles away and hand a paper CV. Love that shit. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't always have to be an email or whatever else. What you essentially need to show somebody is that you are prepared to go above and beyond. This industry is saturated in every possible way, and you have to make yourself stand out. And one way to do that is by doing the stuff that nobody else does.
Amazing.
What was the question again?
The question was, what was your first industry experience, and how could we advise some industry experience?
I was very on the outskirts of the industry for a long time. I was doing sort of everything but being in the industry, and there was like a mindset shift I had recently, in the last few years. It was like, when I started out, I was trying to infiltrate the industry. I was trying to reach out to those people up there and be on those jobs with them. And now, having worked with some of those people, side by side, you're sat around the table and they're just talking about that job they did 10 years ago and that time when they flew here, and they're talking about the parties they had and all this stuff, and you're just like, I'm not a part of it. What it is this is your friendship group. It's not like an industry thing. There's just loads and loads of friendship groups, and it's the people who do well are the people who, they find their friendship group who are good at what they do, and they start making stuff on their own, and then they just rise to the top, and then they become those people. And they don't really, we were talking about this earlier, it's scary hiring new people. And I went back to my emails the other day, 2018, and I'm just emailing everyone I'm the guy you're looking for, I'm the one, I'm the editor, hire me for your job, I saw this post, you want me? And I'm like, fuck, what the fuck? I wouldn't hire that fucking guy. No. You hire the people who you hire the people who are recommended, or you met that one time and had a nice time and it was a nice chat and you feel relaxed. You feel like you can, tell them when they're doing wrong and they won't get upset. It's, it's less networking and more friendship, and coming back to that thing of making your own thing. Keep going back to making your own thing. It never stops. it never stops making your own thing. Like even, I've got some friends who, they made a film, like one Spirit of Sundance, and that's like a very big deal from like a feature film, cinema release all over the UK, big deal. And they're like, yeah, well, you know, it's kind of like a lost leader, you know, we'll hopefully make money on the next one, like, you know, we'll do the big thing. It's like, then there's never a point where it's like, you're there. Like, it's always like the next thing, or like where that's gonna take you. And I'm off topic again.
No, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it about?
It was about your first work experience.
Yeah, I didn't get too much work experience in like an agency thing, and I would say like I did a lot of odd jobs to pay for my sort of main stuff, and I would definitely recommend, like, people I know who've worked at an agency, they have this level of understanding about the way things work that I wish I had, and it's taken me a long time to understand the do's and don'ts. So I wouldn't be afraid to like intern at these places, just even to see how they organize their files, just to, you know, be able to ask the creative director, how much are you paying this guy? So that when it's your turn to price a quote, you're able to go, yeah, no, about this much, you know what the rates are, you know what the standard things are, you're not there, like, I kind of went in from my whole career has just been constantly adding £100 onto my rate every week, just waiting for someone to say no, to a point now where people are starting to say no, it's like, oh fuck, I should have been saying that rate ages ago, and I wish I had the confidence or like the know-how that that money is there and what that stuff is worth. So, yeah.
Amazing. Can I have a show of hands who here goes to university? And who here keep their hands up if you study a fashion or creative course that you're interested in. Okay, wow. So, what I would be doing if I was in university and I was not studying a course that was related to what I wanted to do, I'd be finding the people that are studying that in the same university and connecting with those people. Because your university is such a little bubble where you can, as these guys were saying, create your own projects, create your own photo shoots, style your own photo shoots, but okay, where can I find a photographer? Well, there's a photography course in your campus. Like, these people are so accessible to you, especially if you're in university. If you're not in university, you've got to find those friends, and maybe that's here today, when you go to events like this, and you can find that photographer that you don't have anyone, or don't know anyone who's a photographer. Or things like this. This will connect you to those people maybe that you needed to start building your own projects. But if you're in university, which a lot of people were, and they didn't study the course that they are wanting to do, which a lot of people again did, find those people that do study that creative course, share that interest, and share that passion with them. Our next topic is about nepotism. I think nepotism in society is shown to be something to be afraid of, and I'm afraid of that word. You know, it slightly scares me. I don't know. It's an interesting topic. So we wanted to see what your guys' thoughts of how your journey was in relation to nepotism, and what your thoughts about that. By the way, nepotism can be considered in many different ways, and one being having the connections through family, right? Having the connections through family. Which, if you have a connection, then use that, in my opinion. If your dad is in the music industry, or, you know, way back when he was the DJ, and he knows a few artists, and you want to be an interviewer or a fashion editor, then go call up your dad and ask him who that was, so you can start interviewing them and start, you know, doing work with those people. So, although it's a scary word, I feel like there's a level to it, and we're not at Kim Kardashian's level. But there are levels to it, right? So Lucas, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, just on what you were saying, I think the worst thing, if you had, I got a scholarship to a nice school, so I had some connections and I used them. And yeah, if you don't use that stuff, if you don't work hard, then that's the problem. The problem is nepotism and not knowing, like when you get photographers on set and they don't know what the camera does, they don't understand shit, but they've got a nice team that they've paid for, and, you know, that's their way in. You've got to make use of that. And I think also I've seen it like firsthand in people I work with comparing different people, and you look at like what situation they're in financially, family, mental health. It's like, it's so easy for some people. Some people really walk into this industry and they have a great time, and some get very lucky, and you need to remember that those are the lucky ones, and that there's plenty of people who have spent like 10 years, 13 years, and now they're finally getting it, and it's just, you know, you go at your own pace. Like there's no need to be there the next day. Like, I think that's the thing, is that the big pressure with the nepotism is feeling like they got there first and, you know, they're winning. But also a lot of the time I meet a lot of people who got there way too quickly and they have no idea what they're doing. They got in there because it's the first thing they decide they want to do. Like, photography is probably the 8th career I decided I was going to like go in for, after like DOPing, ACing, producing, fuck that, like anything with admin. But yeah, if you have all of like the answers and permission and access you want from day one, you might end up just doing the complete wrong thing. So don't feel like jealous of that. Like, I know plenty of people who like I've seen they've had like a mad career, that big opportunity, and it's like they're doing something else now. They're starting again because like they had no idea what they were doing. They got there way too quickly. It's all of the stuff along the way. Like, I did a job for Adidas the other week, and I was like on set thinking like, this is so easy. I could have done this when I was 16. Like, this is such an easy job. I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. And then the lights went off for the backdrop, and I was fucked because I couldn't take any more pictures. And I was like, oh shit. So I started like, I knew that the kit house would have a ladder. I got a ladder in the studio, and I got on top and started shooting top-down shots. Like, we didn't use them because they were a bit too creative for the final brief. But like, I was thinking after that moment when everything got back on track, I was like, yeah, I could have done this when I was 16, but I would have absolutely shat myself and probably had a panic attack because I haven't dealt with all of that fucking like mistakes and pushing through so many times to the point where now I feel like, oh yeah, no, I'll just move on and do this. Like, all that time you have to fuck up and not get to where you want to be is making you a very capable person when you finally get there.
Yeah, just on that point, I think that the more you fail, the quicker you're going to get to being amazing, basically. Yeah, failure is always learning and a step closer to being brilliant at what you do. So just on the topic of nepotism, weirdly, I kind of feel like I have blinkers on around it a little bit because I never consider it, if that makes sense. Like, I've always judged everyone 100% entirely on what I see in front of me. It doesn't matter where you've come from, what you look like, who your parents are, you know, whatever else. It's always just been about you. I'm really sorry, mate. I keep looking at you. I don't know why my gaze like keeps going. But generally, it's the outfit. Rich already said. So I think, yeah, I kind of feel like, even if everyone's lives with a hand of cards that they're dealt with. Some people have, you know, a good time in one situation, bad time in the other, whatever else. Shut out that noise. Do not get distracted by the noise. You are you. Stay in your lane. Make the shit happen. Because at the end of the day, even if you have been blessed to get a head start in some way, you've only got that head start in kind of your bubble. Once you step outside of it, no one cares. What people care about is whether you can do the job or not, whether you're a half-decent person or not, whether you're going to stay late and clean up and help and offer, you know, to get your hands dirty or whatever else. Whether you're clock watching, I've done my hours now, I'm off. It's not about anything to do with that for me. It's entirely on that person, which is amazing because, as I said, there's such a thing in the industry about privilege, and part of the bigger picture of what I'll be doing over the next few years is about filling that gap, but again, not because of filling the gap, because everyone should be given the tools that they need to have no barriers to entry, and the only barrier to entry should be your own drive and your own motivation and your own no one's coming to save me attitude. You need to make this stuff happen. It doesn't matter, you know, how, if you've got that head start or not. Great, use it in that direction. Someone else will have a head start on mental health, you know, they might be in a better place there. You just use your skills, stay in your lane, shut out the noise. And that would be my advice.
I feel like you can tell we all speak very passionately. This industry, you have to have passion in it. Yeah. You have to really be driven. She's just said about how driven you need to be, and Lucas said very similarly about doing above and beyond all the time. When I was studying and fashion design and working in the vintage shop, I was also doing modeling and social media, and I was also doing all these other jobs all the time. So I was trying to do everything possible. I was leaving my house at 7 a.m. every morning, I was getting back at 11 p.m. every night. I was waking up and doing the same thing. I wanted to stay busy continuously because I had the energy, kind of, to do so. You know, we're young, so we do have the energy to do so right now. And I just was really interested in doing anything to do with the industry so that I learned what I did like. So that put me in a position where I could say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't want to do this anymore, and that's not paying me anything, so I'm not going to do that anymore. And that kind of cancels it out. So, again, passion is so important. And trying everything as well. Like, you like this, but if you're not sure about it, try the next thing next to it. And put all into it. And then you'll figure out pretty quickly if you like it or not, and if it's a thing that you should continue.
Yeah.
Rich, any points?
Yeah, I haven't really heard too much about the word nepotism. I know that privilege is a thing that is very topical. My mum was a teacher, my dad was a gas engineer, so they were useless in terms of contacts. Very traditional, quite boring, unmaterialistic, and the opposite of me. So I kind of wanted to repel against what they were and just seek out a different life. I think people who do get given the contacts and the opportunities, it is a bit of a privilege, but you get given the contacts. It's up to you what you do with them. So you could perhaps get an internship at Vogue, or get the contact at Vogue. That person may take you on for a week because they know your dad, but realistically, you have to make a good impression. You're on your own, you have to stand on your own 2 feet and show that you have the passion and you have the unique identity and interests and creativity that's going to make you stand out. So realistically, if you do have support, rich parents or contacts, your parents are already in the industry, it will only get you so far. You really do, you know, like, you might get introduced to a model agency, but if your face says it all, you know, so you can't borrow your dad's face. So, you know, you have to keep continuously reinventing yourself, doing things, putting, you know, we're all here on a you're all here on a Saturday afternoon, which is amazing. You know, we don't have to be here. I find it rewarding giving back information and knowledge, which is, again, passion, really. So, yeah, if you've got the contacts, use them. If your mate's dad has the contacts, like, weirdly, now I've got 2 kids.
All these dads.
No, but you know, like,
Connected.
if, like, I've got 2 kids, 17 and 14, and they are nepo babies, is that what you call it?
I don't know if yeah, well,
Because they are, because they come on shoots with me and they do work experience. But I found, my older boy is 17, his mates have started emailing me saying, oh, I'd like to, and that is, if your mate's dad or mum is in the industry, you can also reach, that's a link for you. So just get whatever you can. You've got to kind of beg, borrow and steal contacts from wherever you can. Fake it till you make it, etc.
I think at the end of the day, it's who you are that's going to keep you there, right? As you said, if you get the Vogue contact, great, and maybe they're nice enough to reply to your email, but then after a week of them showing you about, you're not going to be there after a week if you don't make that impression on them, if you aren't driven enough, if you aren't staying back late enough and tidying their chairs up, for instance, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just feel massively passionate that you're not at a disadvantage. I just want to say that because I think everyone can get access to where they need to be. It's all there for you. It's just about relentlessly detective work, going down rabbit holes, joining different networks, whatever else. I don't actually see a way that you can't not get into the industry without having those initial contacts. I'll just give you a few like quick fire ways that I kind of wrote down that I think can help if you don't have that leg up and you're just, kind of starting from zero, which is most of us, let's face it. So first of all, I would just say that, social media, no-brainer, obviously. Work experience, absolute gold, that is your way in above all else. Networking events, such as you're doing now, every single thing that you go to, every single person that you speak to, you will learn something. It might not be how to be the fashion editor of Vogue, but it might be that you learn something about something else from that person. Be speaking to everybody. Tap in on other people's networks as well, and collaboration is absolutely the future. There's enough room for all of us to do our thing, and actually I'm a massive believer that rather than trying to spread yourself thinly and do everything, bring together people from different groups or different skills or who have a different audience, again all in the same umbrella, same remit or whatever else. But if you, we're tapping in on the network that's here today. Likewise, you're tapping in on our network. I think use that as much as you can. Collaborate with other people and stuff like that as well. Document things on social. Like some people love social, some people are like, I'm told all the time that I need to be on social more, which I do. But some of us feel more comfortable than not. But if you can document things, if you can start a bit of a community, a bit of brand building, a bit of, people are nosy, they just want to know what you're doing. It can be the most normal, mundane stuff. We've all seen it on TikTok, we've all seen it on Instagram. It's, again, about the energy that somebody brings, not necessarily what they're doing, and if they're engaging to listen to. I also think, and this one's interesting because people would think that this is really boring and lame to do, but LinkedIn is having a massive revival right now with creatives, and also, and I think that will continue even more so anyway. But if you're, my thoughts on LinkedIn is that if you are looking to connect and network with other people like yourselves, go to your TikToks, go to your Instagram, do those things. But if you're looking to connect, if some of you are looking for a speaking opportunity or investment, or somebody where business people or key decision makers are anyway, they're all on LinkedIn. It's not that stuffy platform anymore where, it's all corporate and boring and whatever else. People, the key decision makers in brands are always on there, and they're always looking. And it's becoming more and more, even visually, like, your social platforms and whatever else. So LinkedIn is a really untapped platform, I think, especially for young people. And if you can get in now and get ahead, you're going to stand out quicker to the right people. I mean, I've been obviously in a different place, but that's where new people have reached out to me that might be your investor or your person that wants you to speak on something, whatever, all these different things. And also it's just another avenue of connections, different type of connections, and that's what you need, lots of different people. Also, another thing that I think is really amazing in terms of, go back to work experience, don't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to go to the biggest name place that I can go to get work experience because it's going to look great on my CV. I've worked at Vogue, or I've worked at the head office of Nike or TikTok or whatever else. Get involved with small businesses that are just that little bit ahead of where you are right now, because they are, like, stick to things that you want to find aspirational or inspirational, but find things to get involved in where they're 3 steps ahead of you, not 30, because that's the journey that you're going on. So by doing that, and it also means that you'll get your hands dirty in all different areas of the business, not just in the one area, not just in the fashion cupboard as what it used to be years and years ago or whatever else. You're going to learn how to greet people at the door. You're going to learn how to scroll through looking for contacts to reach out to people. You know, you're going to learn how to, when the shit hits the fan at an event and something doesn't go your way, that all hands are on deck, and how do you cope with that, you know, and whatever else. I think it's so valuable when you work for smaller successful businesses to get a really good insight into what it is to be in the industry and into the business. And I also personally feel really passionate that one thing that frustrates me a little bit is there's a big wave of this thing in business: only do what you're good at, right? If you want to, this isn't for everyone, this is for the people that want to have their own business. So more than, you know, just yourself being freelance. If you do want to, or you have aspirations to have a business of any sort, whatever the size may be, it's super important to not have ADHD and forget exactly where you are. I will come back to that. But no, I think that's where I was going with it. It's super important to stick to what you know. If your passion is in creative direction, for example, that's cool. You don't have to be an expert at accounts or legal or admin or whatever else. But my personal view, and I appreciate it's controversial, maybe not everyone agrees, I think if you can get some understanding of the different areas, it really helps your overall understanding of where you want to go. And also it means that someone, you know, you just see it so often when you've got someone who's incredible creatively and then they get taken advantage of, or someone pulls the wool over your eyes and gives you a bunch of bullshit and you don't know any difference. So you go, yeah, you're right, you know, whatever else. If you have some kind of understanding, I mean, you're going to need some kind of understanding of at least invoicing and keeping track of what you need to pay the tax man and, you know, whatever else. But I think, and again, you're so lucky because there is access to so much learning for free. Like, you know, obviously on the internet and millions of other platforms that have free courses and stuff like that. But yeah, I would highly recommend have some kind of understanding of the other aspects of business as well, so that you can focus on what you're good at. Later on, farm it out by all means. Like, you know, the goal for all of us, be amazing at what you do and then farm out all the shit you don't like, or the boring stuff, or the stuff you don't quite get, or whatever. Absolutely, that is the goal for everybody. But along the way, learn a little bit just so that you're not taken advantage of, and you kind of got an idea if that doesn't quite look right, or shit, I might actually be encroaching someone's IP there and get sued, or, you know, whatever else, top line stuff. Or speak to people, again, like you're one or two connections away from someone that will know the answers to this. ChatGPT, you know what I'm saying, tell you everything, or pretty much everything. So yeah, I'm quite passionate about that. So
that's all right. We're going to go straight back to you because we've got too long left.
Sorry.
No,
I told you
okay.
I talked too much.
But let's hear about your ADHD and how that's affected how you've had in your career.
Yeah, no worries.
So I am that generation of women that kind of missed out on getting diagnosed till much later in life. And as the cliche says, everything makes sense, you know, now. And I think, again, I'm super passionate in training to be an ADHD coach and whatever else, because I've been trying to find a less naff way of saying it, but it is like a superpower once you get hold of it. Is anyone neurodiverse, or anyone happy to... Okay, the rest of you probably will be somewhere along the line, because if you've got creativity in you, it's very likely. I think the two things go hand in hand and make you completely brilliant, you know, at what you do. I could go on for hours about the extra skills, you know, that you'll have with the way that your brain works and how you identify things. But I think that in terms of I don't want to be too specific on ADHD just because it doesn't affect everybody. But what I would say is knowledge is power in whatever you are doing. It is an absolute game changer to learn, you know, why you do the things that you do. For such a long time, I used to have, and I still do, have 1,000,001 ideas, you know, all the time, and jump from here, there and everywhere and whatever else. But understanding that there's not, that doesn't mean there's something wrong, it's just how my brain works, and by recognising it when it happens, you know, it's just like self-awareness, so then you're able to focus a little bit more on one thing at a time. And also another thing that I really learned is to not apologise for it. If I do forget where I am, fuck it, because I've managed to get some other things off the ground, you know, agency off the ground or whatever else. So it really, you know, for someone's weakness, they've equally got, you know, 10 times strength somewhere else and whatever else. And I think that it's really, really important to put yourself in environments where you can thrive and they don't knock you down and stuff like that, and finding your own people, and finding people, again, going back to podcasts or the internet or whatever else. You've got a whole, you know, even if your immediate family, friends, whatever, don't get how you are, there's a whole world of people out there that you can listen to and curate your own little mentor system via Spotify or YouTube or whatever else. And I think also, just as I said earlier, like if you, and I don't think it matters if you've got ADHD or not. I think with creativity, because it is so passion driven, you need to be kind to yourself, and you also need to do other things, as Lucas said as well, so you have a bit of perspective, you know, on what you're doing. I think with creativity, it's all instinct, right? It's all about ideas, and if you're taking on work all the time you don't want to, as Lucas says, and you get resentful, the ideas will stop coming. They literally will stop coming. Or you know, if you're starting to question your instinct as a model scout, the famous question is, well, what do you look for in a model? I could reel off, like, you know, five features that I just personally love in somebody, but it's not about that. It's a complete and utter instinct. Like, maybe that comes with being in the industry, I don't know, maybe I was born with it, I don't know. But the minute I start questioning it, I stop seeing models.
Well, that's like questioning your gut feeling, isn't it?
100%.
You can't do that.
100%. That's the best guidance that you have in life, is your gut instinct. I think too many of us listen to too much noise that then dilutes it a little bit, or plants a little seed in your head, or creates a spiral of procrastination. And actually doing something puts you ahead of the person that isn't doing anything. And I think, like we touched on earlier, don't be worried about getting it wrong. Like, everybody starts from zero. And what's wrong anyway? Everything's subjective in creativity, isn't it? You know, easier said than done. We had this conversation earlier, but if you can master, and I wish I could tell you how, because I know I got to that stage, can't remember how. I'd probably be rich if I did and I could bottle it, but if you can get to a point where you stop giving a shit what other people think, magic happens, literally, because everybody has it in them. It's just all the stuff around that you let infiltrate, you know, your mind and whatever else, and ends up making you question it or stopping what you're doing or whatever.
On that topic of not giving a shit what people think, I personally haven't mastered that. Like, talking about your mind, has anybody got anxiety? So, like, I suffer with anxiety. I've always suffered with terrible, terrible anxiety as a kid. That's why I like to wear loud clothes, because it was like talking without talking. My mum bought me this mad shirt. I moved schools when I was young. Mum bought me this mad shirt for the school disco, and I was very anxious. And then loads of people were talking to me saying, "Oh, I love your shirt, Rich, I love your shirt." And I was like, shit, that's it. Like,
You found your release almost.
I could talk to them, I could speak about who I am without talking. I've always really, really suffered with it, and that's part of the reason why why I like doing these things, because I was very anxious. I'm always very anxious about doing these things, but I'm also very passionate about. I know that I've done a lot of stuff that people like you would like to know. So it's a bit of a challenge for me to do this sort of stuff. Like earlier on, I was like nervous, sweating. You know what I mean? It's like, but you just have to just push yourself through. Like I've always really suffered with it. I think what was it, like about 10 years ago, we were on holidays, and I had this like kind of nervous breakdown, wasn't it? Like I had this like anxiety I just couldn't get rid of. It was so debilitating. I couldn't sleep or anything, and I came home, got in the gym, and then I went to see the GP, and they gave me these like tablets, citalopram, and then it sort of like made it better. So I still take those now, and I always try and tell as many people as possible that, because some people are a bit think it's like they don't want to admit that they're taking tablets for anxiety or depression, but I do, and I think it's you just have to fight through it. Everything, the more I do these things, the more like when you go to the gym, you lift heavy weights, your muscles grow, right? So your confidence grows every time you do this sort of stuff, and I feel better because you lot have learned a bit more, and I might see you guys in the future doing stuff. So yeah, I mean,
well, like I said earlier to you,
well, when you talk, it comes out there, and I think, it's like, it's like shit myself. I'm like, oh.
no,
That's how my anxious I am. I'm like, fucking hell, people are getting on top of me, like a bag of nerves.
But it's so important to do stuff that you are anxious about. I sit on trains. I live quite far away from central London, so I sit on the train to do whatever I'm doing in central London every day. And I saw this guy the other day, and he was wearing a Louis Vuitton outfit, and he was scrolling through Vinted and looking at expensive stuff. And I was like, this guy is my target audience for potentially someone buying handmade stuff off so many platform. So I went up to him, but before I was going up to him, I felt a sensation all over my body, a fear that tingled my whole hands, everything. And I felt that a lot, a few times when I'm about to make a kind of a really scary, in my mind, confrontation. Anyway, I went up to him, I said I liked his coat, and asked him what he was working on. And he was a CSM professor, and now I have his contact, and now we're speaking about my platform, and he's going to get me involved with the students there. Mm-hmm. So I think it's so important to push through that and attack it.
One last thing I'll say on the anxiety thing. Anyone who suffers with anxiety, I've had it all my life. The dumbest thing, which I was guilty of for 25 years, is drink, drugs, basically. And it's only in the last sort of 3 or 4 years where I don't do anything. I focus on fitness, eating healthy. I feel more confident. I feel like all my anxiety is more or less gone. And I have some like staff sometimes, I'm riddled with anxiety, and they were doing acid the week before, or they were like doing ketamine for 48 hours, and I'm thinking, it's not rocket science. It's not. The industry is very party orientated, and I feel like it's very tempting to stay out at parties all the time. But you just have to be like, what you put in your body is whatever happens to your brain is what you put in your body. So for me, again, I'll give myself goals for my mind and my I put myself down for a boxing fight or a marathon or a 10K or something where I know I've got to train for it, and then keep myself fit, especially like as you get older, your body's not so forgiving. So definitely watch it on substances.
Thank you so much, Rich. Okay, we're going to open the floor to some questions. Does anyone have a question? Amazing. How do you want to do this, Del? Because we only have one microphone here, so.
Go for it.
Thank God you asked questions. We did pre-write some in case everyone was scared to ask, but maybe we'll go to them.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Yeah,
How are
so
you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. So my name, I've modeled for 8 years, and I just want to know, kind of like, your perceptions on AI with the industry that we're dealing with. Yeah, because I'm also looking at it like, come on AI, leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll start off. As a model myself, I don't think they're going to take our jobs. I hope, fingers crossed, but I think that there's so much more energy and there's so much more real, there's so much passion that goes into the photo shoots, and as of right now, it can't be produced. But who knows, man? In 3 years, the technology advanced in the last, 2 weeks with ChatGPT and the image that it can create now and all these platforms can create is insane. So, yeah, I'm not too sure, but you've done some work with AI, right? What's your experience with that?
Got so much shit to say. People will continue to cut corners and make shit stuff, but the good stuff will always be good. I mean, who here shops vinyl and anything like that? Yeah, a few people, and it's fucking expensive, and you pay for it because you like it, you pay for it because you think it's better, because it's organic, whatever you want to call it. I think the same thing is going to happen with our industry. Yeah, you're not going to get probably paid as much as we used to get paid in the past, because there will be the option of AI and people to cut corners, but people who have the money at the top will continue to spend the money on doing things properly with people. You're seeing that with films as well. It's inevitable there's going to be AI films and there's going to be organic films. It's just going to be, there's a choice. And I think it will continue to be seen as a photo shoot. To me, it's it is an experience. I understand that now. I used to think it was just a technical thing, but now I really understand that it's a psychological day out for the client. It's what they think of the photos lives and dies by how you are influencing them. And if they're just alone with a screen and there's no one to influence them and create that feeling inside of them, it's a very different experience. But I love AI for so many different things. I use it for emails. I can't really read and write very well. I use it for mainly drafting ideas. If I've got an idea for something and it doesn't exist, I will make it with AI, show it to the client, and then they'll make some joke about, well, why don't we just use this instead? I'm like, fuck off. And then we do the shoot. But if you've got a good idea and it doesn't exist, you can create that you can create the blueprint, which is such a great thing. Yeah. And it's such a great way to explain your ideas and create stuff with it, and also organize your thoughts. I don't know, I'm also on the neurospicy side of things. I bounce around a lot, and I just talk to the AI and it structures it in a way that neurotypicals just get, and it's really useful for translating all that stuff. So it's definitely very useful. It's definitely going to change a lot of stuff, but then it comes back to redefining your success again and being okay with maybe more one-off projects and less relying on constantly being busy, constantly booked out, and you get those creme de la creme jobs every now and then, but you're still, you still exist in the industry. You're not going to completely go away, but it's definitely going to change. It's undeniable.
Yeah, I think exactly the same. It's amazing, an amazing tool. It's going to grow and grow. You still need someone to prompt it. You still need a creative director. I've seen some amazing work that has only been amazing because it's been prompted and creatively directed. I think as much as brands will and model agencies will develop AI boards and have artificial humans that have kind of fake lives, on the flip side of that, clients and brands and consumers will probably lean more or equally to people like Felix, for example. He's not just a model, he's a creative, he's doing this, loads of stuff. He's got personality, charisma, all that sort of stuff. So as much as being, good looking, you need people, when you do a campaign, when I book a model, if there's two people that look exactly the same, and one of them is a Olympic diver and likes to sew and has 8 tortoises and runs marathons, I'll go for that other guy. He's more interesting. And know that when you click on the picture on the Instagram, it's going to go to this interesting guy that has this like mad life. And if it's connected to the brand's lifestyle that the brand's consumer is all about, then it's just more inspiring. So I wouldn't worry, mate. You just got to put more about yourself on social. If you like records, if you like running, if you like, just put more of it so you add more value to yourself. Yeah.
I was just going to say, from a model agent point of view, it always kind of makes me smile, because it is a very, generally in the industry, particularly in Europe, I've noticed, it's a very touchy subject with a lot of model agents and model agencies, because of, I don't know if it's fear or if it's resentment or if it's that, you know, a lot of us have grafted to get to where we are and it's kind of a shortcut. So I definitely feel like there is that. My personal point of view, I think that it's brilliant, used in the right ways. I think that, who knows what's going to happen in the future, and as you said, things are changing every millisecond with technology, but right now where we are, I can see the attraction with brands for using it in some situations. E-coms might be one, where the sizes are perfect. But first of all, like you said, Felix, they have to master the art of making it look perfect on somebody, which they haven't quite done yet. But things like reliability of models, or distance, or sizing, I can see the attraction there. And that will infiltrate into the industry in some way. What you can't get from AI is opening the show for the first time, you know, for a big major fashion house, whatever, and that excitement and that anticipation and everything that goes in the room that's there. I feel like there's room for both. I feel like they're probably going to be quite separate. As you said, you may have AI things and organic things, and depending on what the purpose is, or the person's need or whatever else, there could be room for both. I also think, like everything, rather than fighting it, find a way to use it to your advantage. I could not echo what Lucas said more about it is an absolute game changer for people that, again, I can only speak, you know, from a sort of ADHD point of view, and I don't think it just affects people that are neurodiverse. I think it affects lots of different people. But for me, my brain works so fast, jumping around from ideas to idea. I even go back to, I remember being at school, and when I was writing in English, I'd always get a really good mark because my creativity was really high, but I distinctly remember leaving gaps where I couldn't spell the word, because I thought that spelling was such a waste of time. Like, fuck that, it's just about the idea. And it's really interesting how that's carried on like throughout my life. Maybe that's because I had ADHD and didn't know them. But I think, you know, for being able to formalize things where you could just rapid fire those incredible ideas that just come in at speed, and then it can formulate it into a readable,
I think it's
you know,
key to
proper
just
format.
learn how to use it, right?
Yeah,
Learn how to use the right thing.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, for
Let's,
sure.
we got any more questions quickly? We're gonna do, you guys we'll pick one person to answer the questions, and we'll give them an answer, so we can get through some.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, we do one panelist per question.
Yeah, that's what. Just go from left to right.
I just wanted to say, as someone who's trying to get into the creative industry, at the moment I'm definitely trying to chase everything I can possibly do. And was there ever like a point where you like, I don't know, do you still feel like you're chasing like all the way through, or was there ever a point where you're like, right, I am where I've wanted to be, and like, I don't know, do you still feel like you're chasing the job you want to do?
Yeah, Rich, do you want to go for that one?
Great question, and very relatable and valuable.
That is a brilliant question, because I think the nature of this industry is that you always have to be chasing something. Like, I'm only here today, not only here today, but I'm still pushing my career. You've got to re-engage with youth, I've got to build my confidence on these sort of things. I'm always chasing stuff. Like I've been a stylist, been a fashion editor, set my agency up. Now I want to scale that agency. I want to sell the agency. I want to do loads of stuff. So you kind of just, it's a good thing, like that you're hungry.
I feel like it comes from, you have to have the hunger in the beginning. You have to have the hunger
It's like eating.
to do it.
It's like eating.
And then you
like
never stop. You just
eat.
will always have that hunger then, maybe.
Yeah, always. It never. If it goes, then you're dead.
There's anyone else?
Yes, I'll go from left to right.
First of all, thank you so much because you guys are dropping some really important knowledge right now. So thank you so much. And my question is, as a business owner or someone who aimed to start a business or eventually own a business, what were your focal points apart from your craft? Because the craft is one thing, what it is you like to do, if it is scouting models, making clothes, styling, but obviously the other aspects I'm assuming are very important because I'm a business owner and I want to know how to go from A to higher levels. So what would you say your focal points are?
As the mic's been passing over, for me, I've started my business now. I have connected with, I feel like probably you guys, I've connected with mentors and I have different mentors for different things. For instance, Rich messaged me on social media asking me to come down and take a piece from his showroom and post it on social media. And I said, fuck that, you're interesting and I want to know who you are and how I ran him through my business plan. And I told him what I was doing. So I think for me, having mentors in every kind of discipline, I have a tech startup guy that I met on Facebook Marketplace. I bought a tripod mount off him and I asked him what he did. He said tech startups. And I said, what type? He said marketplaces. I said, oh my God, we're friends. So we walked to our station, we walked all the way back to my station and we talked about what I was doing, and now we have a call once a week explaining my next steps. But I have Rich, who when I want to speak to about PR or fashion editing, stuff like this, I go to him. The creative director at ASOS right now, I've done a bit of modelling for them, so now he's mentoring me for anything creative. So when I have this idea of the shoot that we're going to do next week with this brand, I go to him and say, what do you think about it? How can I improve it? So for me, it was having mentors in every kind of section that I didn't know about, so that they could teach me. And the way I gained those mentors was through speaking to anyone and everyone. The ASOS guy was the only guy that I met through, I've done a modelling job to get me there. The other guys are through speaking to people and being interesting and showing interest. I don't know if you want to quickly.
Yeah, I think that also people are a lot more open to sharing their advice and knowledge than you probably think. I think again, LinkedIn's a good place, looking for mentors and stuff like that. I think similar to what Felix says, find people, and also I'm pretty sure if you Google it, there's platforms where you can skill swap and stuff like that as well. So that's always a good way as well to get to know other things. And you can honestly teach yourself or have a good understanding of different things just under your own steam and whatever else. And there's a few other, a little bit further down the line, because it is a monthly cost, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, and I only recently discovered this, is there's, and I'm still in the testing period with it, although I have made a really good contact. There's a platform called Connected, off the top of my head. It ends with a T and it's an apostrophe D without the E. And there, I think you pay a quarterly membership or something, and don't listen to the price that they say on the website, they will give you it less if you ask. But there, they have, it's a mad concept and it's really interesting. They basically have pro bono advisors that essentially want to be on a board, or a board of directors or whatever else. But they need experience by working with small businesses. Small businesses need their skill because often as well, their advisors are not overarching, or they have different sections, but there's a section for advisors and you can tap in what industry you want and it will bring up a load of people that's in that industry that's happy to work with you for 3-6 months, whatever, maybe an hour a week, something like that. And the sort of trade-off is that they can then say they work for you, so that eventually in a year's time they could go to a bank or something and get paid a shit ton of money on their board of directors or whatever else. But utilise that. I'm working with somebody at the moment in New York who was on the founding team of TikTok. There's all kinds of people on there, and they, as I said, it's about 100 quid a month, something like that. So it's not cheap, especially when you're starting out, but it's something to aim for. And you can, you can get...
Very quickly. Or, as you're here and you're asking an amazing question, DM Tarja. I reckon. What's your name?
Nice to meet you.
There you go. So you've made this, you've got something in common, you're here, DM Tarja 24/7.
Should we move on to the next one?
You're more than welcome to.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Alice, and I had a question for Lucas. I'm also doing photography at the moment, and I was just wondering, do you have to have the best equipment to be able to make it in the industry, and what camera do you use?
Fuck no. I regret spending so much money. Like, when I moved into the studio I had about, like, I'd been working for maybe like 5 years then, so I'd saved about £5,000. That was like everything I had. And like I knew a load of gaffers, and gaffers are the people in the industry who are making money guaranteed. Like if anyone doesn't know gaffers, they're people who do lighting. If you're a gaffer, you make like $450 a day to like direct the lighting setups. And if you come with your own equipment, you charge for the equipment. So they're making like $3,000 a day, and they're booked 7 days a week because no one wants to do it because it's hard work. It's basically like laboring and lighting. But they were basically like, buy Profoto, because everyone uses Profoto, and if you're gonna have a studio, you need Profoto, blah, blah, blah. And I bought Profoto, and I had no money, and I was stressed for like 2 years, and then I sold all the Profoto stuff and bought a load of Godox stuff. I got 3 times as much kit, no one cares. If something breaks, I was renting kit out, like renting your kit out as well makes you money, but then when you're renting kit out, you make about as much money on the expensive equipment as you make on the low-cost equipment, and the damage of it, you're fucked if someone breaks your Profoto battery, because it's 500 quid a battery. You break your Godox battery, it's like 50 quid. So definitely not. Lighting definitely is the most important cost. I was doing photo, because I was originally doing video, so I had a video camera which had like a 12 megapixel sensor, and I did like my first 2 years of photography on a 12 megapixel sensor with the kit lens, and the kit lens was actually falling apart, like I was held together with tape, and it was fine. And then the only reason I shot Nikon for a while is because they gave me a camera, because that's part of their whole like trying to be cool campaign that they've got going on right now. But I just went back to shooting Canon. I went up to the Canon 5D Mark IV just because I can then use it with all my 35mm cameras, all the same lenses and stuff. But yeah, definitely no need for any nice equipment. But now I'm moving to shooting film, so I'm shooting on cameras that are all fucked and old, and like, yeah, it doesn't matter at all. And no one cares as well. Like, I see some photographers who, there's this one girl, and like, a lot of people don't seem to know, I wish I could remember her name, a lot of people don't know how she does her work, because I scrolled back on her tagged for years, and it's like, she shoots on Polaroid film, adjusted to an RZ back, no, to an RB back. So it's I-type Polaroid film on an RB back. And yeah, it looks like weird and a bit like strange, but it's like, it's just what she shot, and now it's her look, and people buy it. Like, people are just buying original stuff. So yeah, if you want to like do very like, you know, if you want to get booked on ASOS, they'll want like a 25 megapixel camera and clean stuff. But like, you know, you have no idea what you want to do. As long as you've got a camera, you're pretty fine.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
That was a lot of camera words I didn't understand. On to the next topic.
Hi panel, thank you for the stories and advice. My question is, I run my own brand and I dabble in other stuff like single photography and everything. I'm just wondering, how do you manage many passions whilst trying to juggle everything at the same time?
While Tom was bringing the mic over, for me, I had many passions, and as I said, I was doing loads of different things, right? For me, slowly, one after the other, I didn't like doing this anymore, or this wasn't paying me enough, so I didn't do it anymore. And so I kind of shut those doors by myself. But there was 6 months where I was doing 6 different things every day of the week. And you know, my mum was going crazy. She was like, "What are you doing, Felix? You know, you can't do this all forever, and you know, you got to pick what you want to do." And I said, "No, let me do this first. Figure out what I want to do by exploring every option." So just figure out what you enjoy the most, and then if whatever you don't enjoy the most, get other people to do that for you. I would say. But.
Yeah, you kind of just have to like make it your lifestyle, so it doesn't feel too much like work. Like I have like 4 or 5 Instagrams that I'm keeping up on top of. I've got like a little youth culture Instagram page called Classroom Culture. Loads of different stuff, but it's not like I'm working down the mines and then I'm farming this field. That would be like insane, right? It's all things that kind of slot into the same, like you just have to flick from one Instagram to the other and write a caption. If it was Instagrams that I didn't know anything about, I'd struggle. But if it's stuff you're into, it's just like opening a post, brushing your teeth. Like if you said, how do you manage to brush your teeth and have a shower, like and wash your face? It's just like stuff you do and get dressed. Wow, and commute to work. How do you do that? It's just like all part of the day and go to the gym. So,
but you forget to brush your teeth sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah,
and it's okay. You know, you don't want to do the photography bit sometimes, and that's cool. That's part of it. You know, you don't have to do it all the time, but as much as you can, you try and brush your teeth every day. You know, twice a day. Sorry.
Yeah, super quick. Just a little tip that somebody told me because, I don't think you'll ever get to the stage where you feel like you don't have loads to do. So, that's kind of how it is. And I think also that it's really easy to then feel like you're going too slow. And are you achieving this? And are you getting there fast enough? And to start questioning things. And because you just feel like you're going nowhere fast sometimes, don't you? When you're just trying to do it all. And somebody said to me once that kind of really stuck in my head was, and you can apply this daily, weekly, whatever suits, in terms of your own capacity. But I remember saying, especially as a business owner as well, one of the hardest places that you're in is when things start to take off. So you're essentially doing the stuff that you had to do to get the business going, but now new opportunities are coming on top, and whatever else, and suddenly it's a 2-man job instead of 1, but then there's a chicken and egg of can I afford to get someone else on, but no, I really need to keep the money. Everyone will go through that period, and actually it's a good place to be because it means that things are working, but it's also a bit of a mindfuck because you're a bit like, I'm getting nowhere fast here, I feel like I'm doing a million things and achieving nothing, blah, blah, blah. But what you need to do is put, what I did, and it doesn't need to be this much, is put 3 key needle moving tasks. I did it a day, but you could do it a week, whatever suits, so that every day when because inevitably, especially when you've got a business, you'll wake up in the morning with a plan of what you're going to do, and then the avalanche at 9 a.m. comes of people asking, can you do this, can you do that, blah, 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 and suddenly fucking 3/4 of the day is gone and nothing on your list is done, apart from helping everyone else with their jobs. But if you could put down a couple of things, think at the beginning of the week, when your head's clear, do it not in the work day, when you're not being distracted or whatever else. Just think of 3 things that in some way have moved you forward that week. It could be, for example, reach out to 20 brands, or it could be
coming to here and meeting someone,
exactly.
meeting you,
Exactly.
Meeting a connection.
Getting on top of something, or whatever it is. 5, a great term to use as well is needle moving points. They are pushing you and your business forward. If you've achieved those 3, you can tangibly look back at the rest of the week and go, I did achieve something, I am progressing. It doesn't matter if it's a snail pace one week and you're running a marathon at the other, you have pushed the needle forward. That's what I would say.
Final question. Can you do a quick Robinson?
It's alright.
So, thank you, Rich, for opening up about mental health, because I think it's such an underappreciated aspect to creativity. And so I just wanted to ask about the debate of the tortured creative. So if you think of people like Van Gogh or McQueen, and do you think that the depression made the art, So some people argue that depression made the art, but others argue that it killed the artist. So, like, to what extent do you believe in the torture creative, and to what extent, like, how far do you think you let it go until it becomes a problem?
He needs a breath there.
Torture creative. I haven't heard that term before. Maybe.
I'm just going to say, you know, without taking any direction or anything off your question directly from Rich, so I'm 47, and at 21 I had a breakdown. I was hospitalised, you know, for it. And my personal belief is that what makes you brilliant creatively makes you vulnerable to other things. They're two sides of the same coin often. Okay, so I think it's part again of educating yourself, of being self-aware, of when, you know, of just keeping yourself well and whatever else. But it's really interesting because I think there's such a connection between the two. I personally, as I said, I think it's just two sides of the same coin. It does make you vulnerable, but it also makes you fucking genius and brilliant at what you do. And that's the part that you've got to hold on to and just be kind to yourself, like on the other side.
Yeah, I think you're, and it sounds insane saying the word genius or whatever, but like I struggle so much with like anxiety and depression and panic attacks and all this mad stuff. But at the back of my head, I think I'm a genius. Like in my mad little brain, I think, fuck that idea. Like not just, fuck, I have ideas. Oh, you know, like I've got this dating app idea at the minute. I'd love to do. I've got this loads of mad stuff, and I think the frustration of those ideas not all being able to be visualised or happen creates a bit more of a storm in my head. There's a lot going on with people, maybe like yourself or anyone else that suffers with anxiety, but a lot of anxiety is you're quite often forced down a wrong road. Like I worked in home base for a long time, as the warehouse for a long time. Fucking just putting on the uniform used to just make me want to cry. You know what I mean? Just want to just clocking in. Just what am I doing? And paper rounds. And when I was in Australia, I worked on a building site for magazine. Fuck. And it's just frustrating. But as long as you've got that little nugget, there's like a little energized thing at the back of your head that's just saying, yeah, let's just keep rolling with it. You just got to keep rolling with it. And yeah, just keep paint whatever you want to paint. And a lot of people, my mates growing up, always thought I was mad. Like I just come up with mad ideas. Like I was thinking when that Alice said about the camera thing, I just think, it's like if Mike Tyson bought some boxing gloves from Sports Direct, he'd still knock you out. So it's the same sort of scenario, right?
Yeah, it's about the person behind the camera.
It comes into my head. It's like, he'd fuck you up with any boxing gloves, right? So that's the same scenario that Lucas was trying to say. So I think you just got to go with the madness, and just anyone who appreciates it, they'll probably pay for it.
Yeah, and just super quick, because I think this could be a whole other debate that we could have purely on this, which I think you should organise, you guys. It'd be super valuable. But as cliche as it sounds, if this works, everything else works, right? Nothing works if this doesn't work. So you need to be happy, you need to take rest, you need to fucking stop with the perfection bullshit, you know, and whatever else, and listening to too much noise from outside. Whatever it takes. If you need to take a break, the industry's not going anywhere for 3 months, 6 months, whatever else. Go and do something completely different. Get re-engaged in your own head and take that break. I think we naturally put so much pressure on ourselves. But, you know, to take a 3-month break, 6-month break to sort your head out is going to be so much more valuable than trying to trench through the quicksand for the next 3 years, 4 years, getting more and more depressed. And inevitably, if you are creative, I don't think that you can have the ideas I think they just stop. They stop coming if you're not in that headspace anyway. So there's nothing wrong with taking a break, and also just realising all of us have been there, and if we haven't, we will be there, and you are so lucky if you get through life unscathed, because I think it affects everybody, particularly in the creative industry.
Yeah, as someone passes the mic over regarding that, go give it.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're in for the night, it's cool.
No, carry on. But for me, yeah, I was working for 2 years like a crazy man doing loads of stuff. But then I went to Korea for 3 months, and that was for modelling work. But I was there with one job and one boss, and that was it. And that was crazy because for the last 3 years before that, for the last 4 years before that, I had so many other things, 5 different bosses. Parents were boss, modelling agency was boss, social media manager was boss, vintage friends, vintage shop owner was boss, college teacher was boss. Had so many bosses I was like working towards, and then I went to the modelling career. I had one boss. My mind blown.
Yeah.
But I had time and time to just think and deal with what I was feeling and deal with myself, and that was really amazing because I came back with the mindset of, okay, I can slow down these days, and I can, put the brake on and take a minute and say, okay, I feel like in this creative industry, you can quite easily, or I quite easily, work 7 days a week because I don't do a job that's Monday to Friday, where most people switch off on Saturday and Sunday. So for me, my day off might be on a Tuesday where I go for a run and do nothing all day and go to a cafe, right?
Yeah.
But that's so important, and that's I only learned that from taking that 3 months off and being completely that disconnected in that way.
Yeah.
So, last one.
Final question, if anyone has one.
Oh, yeah. We all knew it was you.
Weirdly, my question is quite similar to his, so we can just carry on from that. But mine was the opposite direction. So it's not industry specific, because I'm a writer, still creative.
Of course.
So obviously, with a mind so loud, you can come up with a lot of ideas, and the recommendation is to pour that paint onto paper or do your art. But sometimes you need to take that break, as you said, you've already talked about that. But sometimes, you can take too much of a break where you get into a state where you're protecting yourself, and then you lose that sense of creativity. And in this industry, obviously, you need to churn out ideas so much. And what if you lose, you're in touch with that? To rely on just a spark of inspiration, you just have to do research and use your hands instead.
As someone brings over the mic, I can quickly reply. For my experience on that would be, well, when I was modelling in Korea, I was doing one job, yes, but when I had ideas or stuff that I couldn't do because I was in Korea, not in the UK, I was writing it all down. I have notes pages and notes pages and notes pages full of ideas and things that I've thought of that one night, or woken up in the middle of the night. My girlfriend hates me for it, but I wake up in the middle of the night and have this one thing in my brain, I'm like, I need to write it down because that's going to go. But just writing it down for me means that that creative energy maybe is stored up in that words, and I can come back to doing it at a later date.
For me, you kind of got to work out what you enjoy in terms of taking a break. You don't have to lock yourself in a padded cell. It could be traveling, but that may be the thing that inspires you as well. So I know for me, learning about different cultures, different subcultures, traveling and listening to new music, understanding new generations inspires me. So I can take a day off and I could go to Hastings, or I could go to Brighton, or I could go to a festival, and even though it's time off, it's still inspiring me. People, it doesn't have to be super cool. You can go to a little fishing town and be inspired by old tattoos from old sailors, and that can spark something off. So as long as your time off is, it can be completely shut off if you want, depends. But for me personally, I've always got to be, I work in Bristol every day, so it's just like a madness. So there's places that inspire me in general. I think people as well. I don't know. I'm mad.
I think all of us will just speak from our own personal situation. For me, and this is, I've got the luxury of, you know, being a bit older and a bit of sort of trial and error and life experience, if you like, of having the confidence to know that it will come back. And I think that's probably just through leaving it and it coming back a few times to actually get that confidence. But for me, I'd be interested to know if that's something that, have you been at that place where it's completely gone? Because you have. I'm genuinely interested in knowing about that, because I've always thought it was a bit like riding a bike, like you can take away, but you'll naturally gravitate back towards it. But yeah, I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
In front of the public. Well, I think, my anxieties are more trauma-based, so obviously it's going to be more of your mind. I think when it comes to creativity, you have to connect your mind to your emotions in order to, it's like an exercise, but
I understand
in order to
what you're saying.
protect yourself, you gotta switch that off.
Yeah.
And then creativity almost becomes an action, like going to the gym, rather than a spiritual experience that it used to be. Like, I keep trying to get that back, and it feels artificial. And I don't know if everyone's experienced that. I know it's very specific, but it's just creative blocks in general, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, first of all, don't worry about it, because I also really think that it's a bit like, you know, whether you believe it or not, law of attraction, energies, you know, that kind of thing. If you've got that block, whether it's subconsciously or not, that's why it's not coming. So don't focus on that, focus on other stuff. And it will naturally, you know, as you're healing, as you're doing other things, the worst thing that you can do as a creative, and you guys will probably back me up on this, is when you're under pressure to come up with something, and it will be artificial and it will be shit, and you're on a clock and you've got to do it like this second or whatever else. I think in this industry that is so much about what is personally going on in your mind, your experience, your creativity, your ideas, your trauma, your background, everything influences, you know, who you are, where you are, why you think the way you do. I would personally, my advice would be, don't worry about it, take a break and focus on something else. I do think it will come back. I think that it might not be the right time and to focus on something else, because I don't believe it's gone for a second. It will come back. It's just because it's in you. If it was what you were doing before, it's in you, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just been, and all of us protect ourselves in different ways. You know, again, I think it would be so valuable to have an event about mental health, because I think all of us have probably got, you know, stories that are, you know, willing to share about it. But your mind's a crazy thing, and it's on survival mode first and foremost, whatever that kind of takes. But just trust that it will come back. It's not something, to be creative isn't really something you learn. I mean, you can hone it, especially if you're a writer, you're going to learn things, but it's inherently in you. And you will connect again, but try not to just put yourself under that pressure and yourself under that, why isn't it, because inevitably you're repelling it, not bringing it to you.
One very quick thing. I think a lot of creativity comes from experiences. Like someone said to me recently, this young kid said, I'd really like to be a creative director. He had like a degree and a master's and stuff, like, but he can't get, and I was like, have you travelled, or have you know, for me, I didn't do very well at uni or college, but I travelled, nightclubs all over the world, did loads of, immersed myself in loads of different...
You know you like your parties, Rich.
Yeah, you know, so keep thinking you're over there, fuck's sake. You just got to do experience stuff, and then the emotion that you feel from those experiences will inspire you to write about those emotions. Like you'll do something, let's go to a full moon party here, whatever. It could be you want to do this experience, you want to try yoga, whatever it is, and you're just treating your body with these experiences, that the reaction to those experiences, creativity, and you're giving yourself the tools to respond to those experiences with the way that you the way that you write.
Amazing. Well, that is the end, guys. Sorry that ran over a little bit. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. This was an amazing event. It was beautiful, and it was great to have everyone here and to share our messages and our stories. So quickly, a round of applause again, but dedicated just for these guys. And then I don't think someone got a better round of applause earlier. So this guy, this guy, by the way, he finished his uni degree about a month ago, which before that he was stressing every day about doing his uni degree. So this has been an event that he's pulled out the sack. There's more to it than a month, I promise you, but a lot of work has gone into it, and this guy's crazy. But it's amazing. So,